Hey everybody, Chris with Up North AirGunner. So today I'm actually out here prototype testing some of these Lehigh, they're calling them pellets for the 50 caliber air guns. What these are, pretty interesting, the innovation that the Lehigh has put into this. So what they've done is they've actually CNC'd out of pure copper a 50 caliber slug. And what these are designed to do is at impact, there's actually CNC'd stress fracture points in the slug to deploy petals out into the game animal. And to be completely honest, when I first saw this design, I was really concerned that the core that was going to be left over after it deployed the petals just would not have enough foot-pounds of energy to actually penetrate enough all the way through a deer to get an exit wound. And so for me, one of the things that I've actually found here in the last few years with big bore airgun hunting for deer is getting that full pass-through is pretty critical to get good blood trails. So, but the engineering and the innovation that went behind the development of this projectile is pretty amazing. So historically, it's been pretty much impossible to shoot copper out of our air guns. The pressure behind our projectiles just can't overcome the friction coefficient inside the barrels. And so what Lehigh has done, they've created a bore riding design with these 50 caliber pellets they have here in the rear. Is this really unique design where it looks like it's like a skirted design made of very thin copper. And so what I'm assuming that's doing is that's expanding as soon as you pull the trigger, creating a bit of a gas check seal on your barrel. And I'm slinging these over 1,000 feet per second at 3,600 PSI. So the velocity's there, it's over 500 foot-pounds of energy. At 50 yards, I'm literally putting these one right on top of another. Okay, at 50 yards, that is probably one of the best 5-shot groups I've probably ever shot with a big bore. That's just nuts. Man, I'd say like 75 yards and in, these things are just absolutely deadly accurate. Probably some of the most accurate ammo I've shot at that range. I'm gonna back it out to 100 yards here and we're gonna take some shots on these. All right, let's see what these will do. All right, so the 100-yard group. So yeah, I'd call that probably about a 3.5 inch group. 100 yards, got a pretty stiff breeze out here. Look at this wind. I mean, it's like, it's gonna be pushing something like this around quite a bit, but that's still, that's a dead deer. That's 5 dead deer right there. So the reason I'm shooting these obviously is the ability to see that massive expansion that these copper slugs provide. And you've seen some of my other videos with the maximum expansion 4.52s. I've shot them with the Sabot out of the AirForce Texan 50 caliber with really good accuracy. That right there is 1.75 inches of expansion. Again, most of the deer hunting I do, 75 yards and in, definitely hunting accurate. So yeah, let's line up some targets and let's see what kind of devastation we can do with these. All right, let's check it out. All right, so there's our entry wound, and that's the back side of that front rib cage. Obviously turned that into a melon Slurpee, and sure enough, we got a full exit here. Breaking through all that bone. Yeah, went right, hit that bone straight on. Massive internal damage. I'd call that a success. And a little bit of extra collateral damage on my shooting table. So, man, it's still carrying a ton of energy after the full penetration. All right, so that first demonstration, I would call that probably the size of a very small deer, like a yearling, 1-year-old deer. We're gonna try to do something that's got a little bit more internal mass. I would call this a heavy-bodied deer. Obviously, these melons have a ton of water content in them, so this is probably even a little bit harder to get full penetration on something like this, because normally when you're taking shots on a deer, let's say a heart and lung shot, there's just a lot of, you're not really hitting a lot of muscly meat or bone. You're really wanting to take that shot on the rib cage, getting clean through the vitals, and then ideally getting a full pass through lower on the deer's body to increase your opportunity for a good blood trail. So yeah, we've got this lined up. Let's see what this will do. Let's see if it'll get a full penetration. Here we go. All right, so we had a good entry wound here. Obviously made it through all of the melons. If we go on the back side here, and there we have, at the very bottom, full pass through. Let's try it again and see if we can get it up a little bit higher. Right, so the ribs kept tipping over on me. So what we've created here is a melon and pork ribs ballistic burrito, I guess you want to call it. So now we've got a ton of water content. We put a fresh melon in there, got all the remnants of the other melons in there. So I would call that consistent to a pretty large deer's body. So yeah, let's check that out. All right, so we did not get a pass through, but here it is right there on the back side of that hide, the remnants of the core. See if we can dig this out. I was able to dig that out, and it's performing exactly how it's intended to. I found one of the petals, so it shed one of these petals, obviously ripping through at an angle. So possibly like on a lung shot, you know, getting petals, you get 4 of these flying off of that main core, hitting other organs, arteries, creating massive internal bleeding, which again, if you're going to be able to get an entry wound and an exit wound, you're going to have really good blood trails. But then you've got this 50 caliber core that's pushing through, and with a ton of melons here. I mean, that's what was, you know, equivalent to probably like 3 melons wide, which is a lot of water content, a lot more than you would find an actual deer. Again, with long shots, you're going to have a lot of empty voids from the inflated lungs. So yeah, I would call that a success. Absolutely devastating. Wicked. All right, so the guys over at Lehigh gave me this idea to basically use a jug full of liquid. This is just juice. And we're gonna see full penetration, obviously, but we're gonna hopefully see petals, their exit wounds through the jug to see what kind of trajectory we're getting after the impact. So yeah, let's see what it'll do. Here we go. All right, so this is exactly what I wanted to see. There's the entry wound. There's the 50 caliber hole. But on the back side, check this out. There's the main core. And check out all of that damage from those petals that are expanding out, creating a good, what is that, probably 3.5 inches of wound cavities, separate wound cavities internally. And again, that's only within the first probably 4 inches of the animal. So those are going to continue through at an angle, spreading out, giving you probably a good 6, maybe even 8 inches of spread, hitting all kinds of good internal vitals. Man, that is wicked. All right, AirGunners, there it is. The Lehigh pellets prototypes. Just out here testing for them, sharing with you guys. Yeah, you guys know I like doing some exotic stuff with my air guns, especially the big bore stuff. So, man, just innovation right now in our industry is just, it's absolutely amazing. If you're not an air gunner right now, you should be. If you're not into big bore air guns, you definitely should be. So yeah, definitely check out the AirForce Texan from Utah Airguns. Man, I'll tell you what, if you are getting ready for the 2020 deer season, pick one of these up. This thing is a beast, an absolute beast. Slinging these nasty little pills at over 500 foot-pounds of energy. So anyway, there it is, everybody. Thanks for joining me. This is Chris with Up North Air Gunner. Take care.